Well, hello there, Eveline Rosa. How
Hello.
are you?
Excellent. Hello, Angela. Thanks for having me.
And I've almost forgot to say welcome to the Red Couch Talk.
Thank you. Yeah, we're in good company. I got my red couch going too.
It's amazing. The last person who was here also had a red couch, but it was I guess, artificial background. Yours looks real.
Yeah, it is real. It's actually a whole sectional. It's an Italian B to B Italian sectional, but it has just one part red and the rest is gray. Yeah, I love red.
Nice.
Hmm.
Fantastic. Now, I was just thinking about how we actually met. I think you might have commented on one of my posts on LinkedIn 2 months ago, 3 months ago. We met for lunch.
That's
We hit it
correct.
off.
Exactly.
And then we said, okay, you wanted to come on this Red Couch Talk and talk a bit about your journey, because you have quite a long journey.
I do. Yeah, we're pretty much the same age, aren't we, too? And there's a lot of experience going into that. Even though, I mean, you and I both had very interesting lives, I guess, and lots to share.
Oh no, mine is so boring. Um, I wanna kick us off with, the usual fun fact that people won't read on the internet. So maybe you can just tell us something a little
I
silly.
grew up in a cheese factory. I'm as Swiss as you get, you know. I mean, literally in a small town, 700 people that have more cows than people, right? And I'm one of six kids. I'm the youngest.
Wow.
And I was definitely always the black sheep because I'm the one who, the other five still live within an hour from there or in the village. And I'm the one, I was 15, I left, saw the world. And I knew at 15 I was going to want to see the world. So I already knew I was going to be a flight attendant. And that's how I started then when I was 20 to see the world. And then from there, it took me all over the place. But yeah, I think that's interesting. I'm very Swiss I mean, born, but I feel definitely more international because of where,
Yeah,
yeah,
if we had just met and you didn't tell me that you were Swiss, I would not think so.
exactly.
To
Yeah.
me, you're a bit more American,
Yes.
if I
And
can stay within the stereotypes.
yeah, yeah, that's fine. But only the good parts of the Americans.
Well, we can always say, we take the best from all the cultures and wear them like a uniform.
Exactly. No, I
So,
do like that. I think they are Americans are a little more open, and I hope to think that I'm also definitely more open-minded than some Swiss. But I have a trick how to open up the Swiss
oh,
because it happens to me. I walk in a store, and as you know, they're not the most friendly people, or they can be reserved or even rude. And what I do, I instantly shout a question or a nice compliment or say, "Hey, you have a really nice blouse," or ask something personal, and they open up. They open up like a flower, and they will definitely treat you differently. You should try it.
hmm, hmm. I used another trick for the longest time. But if I say now that it's a trick, I can't use it anymore, so I'm
Yeah,
not going to share.
it's a
Tell
secret.
me, a bit about your why. So you just mentioned already you left home quite early, 15, and then you became a flight attendant. What's your deeper why? Why do you do what you do today?
I I think my biggest not why, but my biggest fear is boredom. Ask my husband. I always have crazy ideas. But been married 36 years. That's the only thing that I kept steady over the last 36 years is my husband. The rest, I love change. I love different things. I like meeting people like you. I like the quirkier the people, the better. You know, I don't like ordinary. I don't like boring. And so it took me many places. And yeah, and that's why at almost 60, I started another company, you know. So that's my big why there.
And Evelyn, I hope it's okay that I share, but you recently also mentioned in one of our master classes that you like to do things against the grain. Like,
Mhm,
you
exactly.
like to go a bit against the ordinary stream. And I think that also caught my attention because you were responding or writing to me on a holiday, and
Yes.
also, when we were talking about having lunch, usually in Switzerland, this is like a major production. It takes about 8 weeks to organize something in the agenda, and you were like, "Yeah, tomorrow," and I was like, "Yeah, tomorrow," and we're in the
Exactly.
same neighborhood as well. So it, this it's something I noticed and I find very refreshing, I have to say, because obviously in the meantime I have adjusted to this the way of being in the world, which is very organized
Mhm.
and also very structured, but sometimes it kills a bit the moment and the creativity and the innovation and the spark.
You
And
would be surprised. I'm actually very organized too. Very organized,
yeah,
but
no, that's not what
but
I
you,
mean. Like, I
yeah,
think you can still be organized,
yes, I know. You
but
mean
I just wish in my life a bit more, like, sometimes I would like to be a bit more spontaneous and do things without having to plan them like 6 weeks ahead.
yes, yeah.
And I think, that's in other cultural backgrounds, it's a bit the other way around. So not that one is better or the other, it's just different,
Yeah.
very different.
However, I think it's not necessarily culturally at all the places I've lived. I think it's a personality thing too, because there's definitely strict people or like more by the book people in every, the Italians are by the book too. They eat at 12 o'clock, they have their coffee at 8, and the Americans too. I mean, they're pretty, by the book too when eating but I've always been like that. You tell me, let's go to Paris tomorrow. I mean, I'm ask my husband. I always say yes first and then think later. But then if he tells me something, I'm already researching, and he just says something, and I'm executing. And before you know it, we're doing it. So this happened last time when we moved to Sicily. I mean, he just said the word, and a year later we built the house down there and moved from the US. So yeah, I love that spontaneity, but sometimes maybe a little too much. I do things, like I said, first and then think. And obviously, sometimes you make mistakes, but I always feel like I don't want to die regretting things, if I've done it. And I won't, because I've done a lot of things. If I want to do something, I'll just try to do it. Yeah.
You've had already several businesses,
Hmm.
and so you're a multiple entrepreneur. We connected over your language school, XLINGUA, which is kind of a complementary business to my business, but
Yeah.
also very much aligned in that you also use technology to scale. So, it's not a classical brick and mortar business. So we have a digital coaching business, you have a digital language school. And what I want to, without going into, like the detail of what you do right now, but I want to understand a bit, do you think your personality has actually helped your entrepreneurial
Yeah.
career and journey?
Absolutely, because I think I am a risk taker, and it does take courage and risk, but I always feel like what can happen? What's the worst that can happen? You can fail, but if you don't take the risk, what can happen? You can be bored and stick with, like one of my brothers, he worked for the same bank for 40 years. That wouldn't be me, but he was happy with it. But the alternative is just doing the same thing over and over. And that's something that scares me more than taking a risk and failing. Yeah. And so that definitely, yeah, I'm definitely different that way. Yeah. But that helps.
So what was the journey like? You have the personality. You left early. You were the youngest of six brothers and sisters. The cheese factory, the cheese factory didn't do it for you anymore. You wanted to get out of the village. It all sounds very familiar, and a lot of my clients and I, we have similar stories. Like we come from small country backgrounds, and we wanted to go somewhere else and do something else. So tell me and the audience more about the journey.
Like I said, knowing at 15 already, my only way out was, at the time, my parents didn't really travel much. My only way out was doing it professionally. And I thought, okay, if I become a flight attendant, that's a way to see the world, easy way. So I did that, but I actually flew for African Safari Airways for 2 years. And then I met my husband in Italy as I was there for 6 weeks for an Italian course with another flight attendant, just as a for vacation. And when I met him, of course, everything changed again. And since he's American, I always I didn't really want to marry a Swiss guy, to be honest. So that came in really cool. That was just something. And I mean, he lived in LA and I lived in Lucerne at the time. We met in Italy and I just made it work. And my parents thought I was crazy, but we made it work. We eloped 9 months later because he needed the permit to work in Switzerland. And we didn't tell my parents for another year when we actually then got married officially. And after 30 years, I can say we did take that risk too. And so basically, then we were in Zurich 5 years. We wanted to accumulate enough funds to open our own first business, which we then did in Lugano, Switzerland, and open our first language school. And we were very successful. We actually lived, of course, very exotically on the other side of the border in Italy on the lake and commuted every day to Lugano to work, which was fun. And then we had that already. We love the Italian country. I mean, the Italian culture, because my husband is Italian. His ancestors were Italian. And so basically, then, however, of course, after 11 years together, we're like, okay, maybe it's time to have a family and have children. And the way when I do I do it 200%. So I couldn't really run the school or give it to somebody else to run it. It just would not be me. So we sold it and we moved to Australia half a year. That's where the picture is from.
Mhm.
And did Boredom cooking school just for fun, because we love good wine. We love cook. My husband especially is a great cook. And then we went to LA helping his parents out. They had a gourmet store in Bel Air, with all you name them, all the celebrities were our clients. And we had a wine store for them. And that allowed us to have children there because we had the help of his parents to watch the children. So we had 2 children there, but then I realized LA, it's kind of a 5-year cycle with me too. Then I get, had enough of this country or city. And it was 7 years in LA and we decided, however, that's not the place to raise the kids. It's just, it was okay to help the parents. We sold that business, moved to Salt Lake City, couldn't find a place I liked. Actually, we moved to Salt Lake City because I didn't know where to move to. And we're like, we could live anywhere because we have all the passports, EU, American, Swiss. And I went to a library, best place to live, and it said Salt Lake City. That's how gullible I am. No, but then I started looking into it. And it had a lot of qualities of Switzerland. It had the 4 seasons. It had the mountains, the family, even though obviously we're not Mormon, but it had the family values, they're very big there. So basically, and we couldn't really find a house I liked, so we built one. And then everywhere we go, we just start over. So we do something totally different. So it was the language school, then the wine store, and then in Salt Lake City, because I couldn't find a Pilates studio I liked. In LA, there were great Pilates studios. So I did a 2-year certification first in LA while we built the house and opened my own studio when I moved there. And it was very successful. And my husband did some real estate and catering. And we had 2 wonderful kids there. That's where we stayed the longest, 15 years in Salt Lake City, because the kid. And yeah, and I'm still friends with some of my Pilates clients. They came for over 15 years to me. They're still going. But then one day my husband came to me and said, now that the kids are grown and they're moving out, where do you want to go? Sardinia or Sicily? Literally. We went to a Johnny Mathis concert. I don't know if you know him, Johnny Mathis. He's like one of the older generation, love songs, but he's like an 80, very romantic. And at dinner, he said to me, I think it's time to leave. The kids are leaving. My son went to the Naval Academy. My daughter was about to graduate too soon. And we didn't want them to really stick around anyways. And so we're like, okay. He said, "You want to go? I think I want to go back to Italy." He said, "Do you want to go Sardinia or Sicily?" And I'm like, Sicily. And from then on, I started researching, doing stuff. And over the period of COVID, we went back and forth and built a house down there. And we thought, okay, that could be a great life. You live there. It sounds so idyllic, you just live, you work a little, just enough to cover your expenses. you don't need much and it's not expensive. But once the house was built, I was really bored. There you go. That my other wife wasn't there anymore. And then I'm like, what am I doing now? Because I love building the house and help design it and all that. But once that was done, I was almost depressed, which hardly happens. Then my husband said, that's it. We're going to Zurich. Let's go to Zurich because that's where we can both work, have some jobs, just kind of get busy again and rent instead of owning businesses, owning houses. So we did that 5 years ago, and I did have a job, and he has a job now part-time. He just likes to keep busy. But I was bored in the job because, as you know, once you're self-employed, it's not the same. So I'm like,
and
okay, I need to do my own
I
thing
just
again.
wanted to ask something. Did did you always run the businesses together with your husband, or did you start the businesses while he was doing
Doing other stuff.
something else?
No, the language school we did together because he
Yeah,
was actually an English teacher at first when we got married, because that was the easiest way for an American guy with a bachelor's to. As then English teaching was really big, and he had all the
yeah,
bankers and all the he had all the connections from Zurich. That's why we were really successful in Lugano. We're still in touch with the head of HR from UBS at the time, and we had all the big banks, and we had a good business. But we did together. I did the selling part, and I think I'm a salesperson by need. That's kind of my thing. And I did the selling part. My husband did all the teaching. He taught sometimes 40 hours a week. I mean, we worked a lot. And then the second one, the wine business we did together, which was fun in LA. And then in Salt Lake City, I did the Pilates studio myself, and he had a little catering. I mean, he did real estate development and then a catering business. And what else? Now I'm doing this one alone again because, he's not quite the type like me who adapts. We're not digital people, as we grew up in where we didn't even have internet at the first school. I remember it just in 94, 96, it started. The internet was finally, or it was coming, it was all fax machines. And so he prefers, he would love to have no phone. He would love to have. So he's more that type.
yeah. Me too.
We're almost
Then we would
opposite.
have a life.
Yeah. We're almost, and to be honest, I would like that too in a way, even though I even ran my
Yeah.
Pilates studios on my phone. I just love being on the go and being able to do that's why I respond on a Sunday, no matter where I am, I'll respond. And I never leave a text or a message unanswered more than a minute. That kind of freaks me out. I think that's a problem I have, a compulsion, that I have to answer and do everything. I never have any pendants. I mean, anything open. Everything's always done. I feel in the house too, it has to be perfect or I can't function. But anyway, so yeah, that's why this business I'm doing myself, because if he taught English right now, he would know how to do all this digital stuff and Zoom, and he doesn't like that. But yeah.
Let's talk a bit about the business because I'm interested, and I'm sure you told me already, but I think it would be also interesting for our audience because we have a lot of, global mobility managers and people working in the field of global mobility, or expat partners, nomads, international people who might be interested in this. What is the difference between the classical language teaching that you know from normal language schools and your way of teaching? I know you're teaching German, English, Italian, French, other languages as well.
Spanish, and for the real ambitious ones, Swiss German.
Oh, goodness.
Like yourself. But anyway.
Let's not go there because that's a constant topic of embarrassment. But let's say, what do you think, what do you think differentiates your method? It's called the flow method, right?
Flow. But here's the thing, it's not just that, it's everything. And I forgot to mention, after I married my husband, he thought I wasn't quite smart yet. So, I mean, I did the Handelsschule in the French part at 15. That's why I needed to go do the French part, become quick. So to become a flight attendant faster, I did the whole thing in French, the Handelsschule. Then even the commercial school. But that's all I had. And when he met me, he said, okay, you should go back to school. So I did the Dolmetscherschule, the translator school in Zurich, for 4 years while I worked when he taught English. But anyway, So having a background with languages, I always loved languages because that goes hand in hand with meeting interesting people and traveling. And actually, to be honest, I don't like traveling. I like living in different countries.
Oh, okay.
I don't like being a tourist. I think that's horrible. That's why we move so much, because then you really get to feel the real deal, the locals and everything. But anyway, so having had, the language, it's just fascinating to me. So I worked again in a language school when I came here, just as a salesperson. And I just saw that it's the language, it's been the same since we had a language school. They still teach the same way. Everything's still the same. The textbooks are outdated because you can't print new textbooks every year. So we created our own. I always do that. If something's lacking, I just create my own. So we created our own custom textbooks that are focused more on speaking. And everybody you talk to when they took language courses, they understand that much, and they can only speak so little because the theory is always taught first. But we start the other way. We start with speaking, and grammar and vocabulary is a side product, because the language is spoken mostly, and that's how it should feel. And because if you learn it the other way around, you tend to translate, and then you make mistakes, and you hesitate because you're thinking first in your language, and you have to translate it, and it comes out totally funny because it's not idiomatic anymore. So we changed that and the syllabus is very much adapted to a Swiss life. But at the end of a course, you still have all the requirements to pass a regular test. And so first of all, because I think when you learn something, it's with anything. You read something in the paper. If it's interesting, you retain it. If it's not interesting, it goes right back out. That's the first important thing. The second important thing is you need a community, because either some language schools have way too big groups, too many people in the group, and then only the two people that the big talkers get the word, the other ones just sit there. Or you're on your own on an app, those little, I don't want to mention them. Everybody has them. Everybody pays 40, 50 francs a month to subscribe. But for me, at the end, that's money not well spent. You rather take 500, 600 and invest in a good course than spending 50, 40, which they think it's cheap, but the result's not the same. So what I wanted to do is get a community where people, they have to feel comfortable, in order to speak, because often it's psychological. They have fear of speaking. So if you're in a group and the teacher's the same and you get to know the people, you're 3 to 6 people we have in the group only. So then you're more likely, and everybody gets the word. So 80% of the class is spoken, and it's spoken by the participants and not the teacher holding a lecture. And then, so that's the first part. Then I also noticed that a lot of the schools have old, they don't have the new IT, the new technology. So, and also online has become very popular. It's a lot easier because you can do it from anywhere. And I think it's also nice for people when they go home from work, they can sit at home and have a cup of tea or a glass of wine and participate. So I opted for that. And also in the sense that I've created almost a year now. It's took a year to create this app, which is incredible, which saves me 3 secretaries. I can do with one app everything. And everything's it's just to help the administrative part. It's not a language app, but they log in, they can sign in, you pay for a course, you instantly can download your own invoice, and at the end you automatically get the certificate. You don't have to call up the administrators or say, can you send me that? Can you send me the billing for the taxes? All that. It's all automated. The teachers you can book a private class directly on the app and connect with the teacher, choose your schedule. So we have 2 types: groups, 3 to 6 people, which I think is ideal of the size. And the other one is called VIP, which is private or semi-private for the same price. You can bring a friend. So you buy a package of 10 You go in, you pay for it, then you can choose your time, your teacher, you schedule it, the teacher accepts it, you write an email to your friend, and two of you can do the course, and then schedule. And you have the flexibility of the 24-hour cancellation with that one. The groups are fixed, but like I said, it's just more organized, simple, because sometimes I feel you go on a website from a school and you have to take a half a day off just to figure out what you need, we wanted to keep it simple and very user-friendly. So even people who don't have much IT background or technology, it's easy for them, But I'm very big on customer service. I mean, anytime something happens, I'm actually in contact with all the clients through WhatsApp, and they said, so I instantly respond. We help them. We're also flexible, changing classes if the level's not right. And I think that's where the sales part comes in. And if I would give anybody advice to become a better salesperson, it's really not hard. It's all you got to do is listen to the people and give them what they want. Because that's
which
simple.
is not always possible.
Yeah, but you
sometimes
you try it, and
can
you're more possible than you think. I mean, it depends what they want.
Yeah, I'm just talking from my experience. It's not always possible. Can you maybe talk about an advice you would have for younger version of yourself? I need to have a sip of water.
Yeah. You mean if they're the same already, or if they want to be like me, or
if you would now go back, and give advice to, let's say, your daughter or son, someone that age or even younger, what would you tell them?
The biggest advice of life, you mean, in general?
You probably have some, thoughts on maybe
Yeah.
things, you would have done differently when you were younger, had you known this, that you know everything that you know now.
Yeah, some. I think I fight with myself sometimes with my own energy. I got to hold myself more back, and be a little too impulsive, but I can't change it. My husband always says, "You're going to get us in trouble. You're going to get." I said, "Look, I just can't change my personality. I can't." And so, I mean, I don't know if any advice would have helped that. I'm like this crazy horse who just kept. But no, what I always told my kids, and they did take that advice, especially my son right now and my daughter too, who she's hanging out with. I said the most important decision in your life is who you marry, no matter what, because everything else is interchangeable. I mean, okay, nowadays even obviously you can change your husband, but when you have the right person in your life, you can do anything. And we've had good times, bad times, but what held us together was, that relationship, even though we're very different, but in a way, but we have the same values. And my son is now happily married 2 years, and my daughter has an amazing boyfriend, which they really followed. And I think that gives your basis, because jobs come and go, money comes and goes. You can do whatever. If you're on the same, as much as we're different, but we pull on the same, strings, then you can master life, because life's not easy. I mean, it hasn't been easy for me. I've had struggles, and I struggle, all the time.
That's so beautiful, Eveline. I don't think anybody on the Red Couch Talk has ever talked about this, like how important it is, to have the right life partner. And especially, I think, also for women, and especially for women who also want to run 5 businesses and run around the world and do all these things and have a lot of energy. I always feel, I mean, for me, it was always good to have somebody who's a bit like a grounding element in my creative endeavors. And sometimes it was the husband, sometimes it was the accountant, sometimes both of them.
Mine too. My husband's totally the opposite of me.
Doesn't always have to be the husband, but you need some sort of grounding.
Yes, definitely.
At the moment, it's my mom.
We're similar that way. We both need somebody to tame us, but it's really nice to have that somebody in your life, because when times get tough, he always supported me, the good stuff I did and the bad stuff I did, and yeah, so that's
Beautiful,
it's
really
nice to
beautiful.
have somebody who has your back all the
Yeah,
time. And
yeah.
you do feel it. I mean, I've had lots of boyfriends, being a flight attendant and and but when I met him, I don't know, he had all the qualities I always dreamed of that other people had, and even then some. I think you do feel it, the
And
difference.
he can also cook, from what I
Yeah,
heard,
not just cook. He's like a chef, fine dining chef.
which I think, is probably the most important quality in a man.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other hand, of course, he's not he doesn't have right now a career, or he's not, which I prefer, and I'm doing more the shaking and moving, and but he had, I mean, he did his part too, but I mean, but somebody had to also hold like you said, the household together. When the kids were young, he would
Mhm.
do that, a lot of that stuff, going into the schools and help them with reading and all that. And yeah, he's great. But then he also had a business then, and so we complement each other. And I help cook too, and I'm the cleanup person. And we're like, we don't like say, oh, you have to take the trash. We just see what's got to be done, and we both do it. But he's definitely the better cook, and I enjoy that. Yeah, it's
Great,
nice.
amazing. And do you have anything exciting coming up in the next few weeks, Eveline?
You mean
Something you want to tell our audience about? Book launches, events, new programs?
no? But I can offer whoever's interested in joining one of these great little groups, and wants to improve their speaking skills, especially in German. I can definitely offer the first 5 callers, or who want to contact me on WhatsApp or wherever, 50 francs off on top of our regular promotion that we have going right now.
Hmm.
For the Founders Club. Yeah,
So we
they
will
just have
put
to mention
your
Red Couch. Red, so yeah,
we
Red
will
Couch.
we will put your contact details in the show notes so they can contact you on LinkedIn or WhatsApp. They should
Perfect.
use the secret code Red Couch Talk,
Yes.
and then they get a 50% discount.
No, no. Actually, the courses right now are already 50% discounted because we're
Ah,
doing the Founders Club, but
okay.
they get an additional 50 francs.
On the Founders Club discount.
Yes, on top of it's just 50
Wow.
francs off on top. Yes, it's a really great deal.
Wow. And maybe I just should say that because, I know that and I didn't really stress it too much during the interview. But one of the strengths of your courses is that people learn to speak. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because in especially interview situations or speaking or presentations at work in German or English, they might freeze up and feel insecure about the language skills. And this is something, we also obviously practice in the coaching setting,
Mhm.
but we don't
Exactly.
focus so much on the language. We focus more on the
Yeah,
content and the
we
presentation.
call it speaking under pressure because
Hmm.
that's what we train that. You
Yeah,
have to react under
yeah,
pressure, especially
yeah,
for professionals,
yeah.
and or if you need a FIDE test, for the permit, we have all the tricks, of course, too.
Perfect.
We can help with that.
Perfect.
Great.
And I will remember that trick about, complimenting the
Yeah,
salesperson.
try it. Go to the flower store. They're usually not very friendly. I don't know why, but the flower store but
Thanks so
yeah,
much for joining,
thank
Evelyn. It was
you.
great having
Pleasure.
this chat with you, and I look
Have to
forward to
do
seeing
lunch
you again.
again soon.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Bye.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
Angela.